Okay, so it's very cold outside, and you might as well make some chicken and dumplings made from the stuff you have in your refrigerator or on your cupboard. That's right. Just use your leftovers and what's on your cupboard and make some chicken and dumpling. For example, you know when you buy chicken at the supermarket and everybody eats the wings and of course they'll eat the drumstick, but that two big pieces of chicken that's left in there, nobody wants to eat that, and I don't know why. So that goes back in the refrigerator. So rather than have it stay in there, why don't we use the leftovers from the supermarket chicken to make chicken and dumpling? As you can see, what I did was to cut it up in bite-sized pieces. That's the first thing that I do. Of course, I did remove the skin because I don't want the skin. My next very important ingredient to make the dumplings is flour tortillas. That's what I use to make the dumplings in my chicken and dumpling. I use just one tortilla, that's right, just one, and I cut them up in 1-inch squares. Well, they're not exactly 1-inch squares, but you get the idea. I cut them up in little squares or oblongs or whatever, because I will use those, as I said before, to make the dumplings. I like onions, so I will use 1 onion for my chicken and dumpling for today, which I'm making for myself. If you were going to make more chicken and dumplings, let's say for a family, then you would simply increase the recipe based on the amount of people in the family. Here I add some Italian seasoning to the onions because I like that. Alrighty, so while that's there, I melt some real butter. As you know, I prefer real butter to margarines, and when I cannot use real butter, I use coconut oil. Of course, while the skillet is going, I turn on the kettle because I'm going to need some hot water later to dissolve bouillon cubes. And I think it is better if you dissolve these cubes in hot water. Of course, you're free to use whatever brand that you like. I'm using this brand because each cube is good for making 2 cups of water, and that's going to add to the flavor of my chicken and dumpling. 1 cube to 2 cups of water. Now, as I said earlier, if you're going to be making this for a family, then you would simply increase this recipe to include your entire family. Now, I'm making this for myself. Now, what will happen is I have enough to eat for lunch, and then I will put some in a container in the freezer, and should I get into the mood to want some more later, or perhaps tomorrow, I will simply reheat, that's all, and I'll have some more. As you know, I work at home, and I don't have a lot of time to cook. So I will usually do whatever it takes that's going to save me time and energy. So 1 cube in 2 cups of water, and that's what I'm doing today. Now you know. In the meantime, of course, my onions with my Italian seasoning, and here is a good place to add whatever seasoning that you like. Okay? So once that's simmered for a while, clarify actually, then I added my chicken, my leftover chicken. Now keep in mind that the chicken is already cooked, really. The onions have been clarified, so you don't have to do a lot of cooking, really. All you have to do is to simmer it to get everything melded together, if you will. So, there you have it, my onion, Italian seasoning, chicken, and by the way, I did not add salt and I did not add pepper. As I said, you would add the seasoning that you like, so that it'll become personal. So, there in my pot, I added my liquid, and I added everything else, the onion and the chicken. Everything has been added into my pot, mixed well, and now all I need to do is to set my stove to simmer. That's right, set my stove to simmer somewhere between 5 and 15 minutes, because everything is already cooked, as I said before. To me, this is one of the easiest recipes that you'll ever find. Just leftover chicken with a bouillon cube and, of course, onions. Now, I don't know why you would want to, but should you want to add croutons to your soup, rather your chicken and dumplings, you don't have croutons, then just go ahead and use toast. Bon appetit!